we're getting upgrades up in here. I dug up my very old VTuber model. I made this like 2 years ago. Never used it. It's nighttime. I'm sleepy, and I'm here to talk about armpits. I actually made a video like this before, but it's now lost media. I don't know where it went. It's gone. I don't know what. This video is about armpits. We're talking about armpits and anatomy and the simplification of armpits. Talking about armpits, there's that, you know, that haha meme layer to it, but the actual like practical, more professional, I don't know, like higher thinking, non-immature way of thinking about it is joints. The better you get at joints, the more you're able to articulate motion, and the more you're able to sort of create more natural fluid positions. What's called 3D models. 3D models, they can break they don't showcase good joints. When I see like skilled artists or beginner learning artists draw using 3D models, their joints are like the one part that's so messed up because the 3D models don't capture joints. So I'm going to show you some super simple armpit anatomy. The armpit anatomy that I like, the simplified lines that makes the most sense, and we're going to talk about it. So I have Yubel, the poster child of anime armpit. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to first talk about the preamble. This is all stuff that you should be doing. If you've been here before, I've always preached, got to learn construction. You have to learn the process of how to build up a figure. So if I'm looking at something like this for reference, what I mean by the process and how to actually build it up, and what is that process? If I'm looking at this, the process is cube, box, or the torso, bend it down to the rib or to the pelvis, create that gesture line, in, out, like this, gesture line, put in the sphere, right? That's where the ball of the shoulder would go. I'm gonna make this its own layer. Then you can put in the cylinder for the arm, wherever you want it to go. If you want it here, if you want it back here, right? You also have the other ball right here. You can draw through the form. So this is kind of like the idea for construction. And if you want to take this another step further and do more full-on construction poses, this is where you can bring in some more like Riley method ideas with the double triangles. And then you can slap on some legs, and then for here you put in the balls. So this is what I mean as the preamble. For you need to sort of get comfortable and have a few ways of, ways that you like drawing, ways that you like having construction. This is sort of the prerequisite for what I'm going to talk about. So assuming you have something like this, now let's move on to a little bit of anatomy talk. So we have some anatomy images here. What are the main things that we want to pay attention to when we're drawing armpits? There's a lot of stuff. You can see over here, there's a bunch of different, there's a lot of complicated things going on. I think the main things, especially for like anime style or animation simplified anatomy, would be to have these main sections. So let's first start off the oval for the rib cage. We can have like a little center line going down, so we have the orientation of everything, the arch of the rib cage. That's what I just did right here. I'll also put in the spines just so that we can kind of see everything. Put it like this, just so there's more of a bend to it. I'll slide it more this way. Okay, so we have something like this. This is the beginner starting. Now let's bring in the shoulder ball. What this shoulder ball is essentially the ball and socket joint from the scapula and the humerus connecting like this. If you know anatomy, I always say learn anatomy. You have your ball, and then you can have your cylinder to where that ball is. Now I'm going to try to follow this pose right here, just so we can see the reference more clearly. I'll start by putting the cylinder somewhere like this. Now it doesn't have to fully match, right? We're just trying to get the vibes of it, trying to get the feeling of it. And if we need to, you can always slightly erase and readjust. I'm also just going to put in the neck, just so we have a frame of reference. Okay, so we have this setup. How do we make it look more sophisticated or nice? Well, first, this is kind of like the prerequisite trapezius muscle. Just cap that in there so that, it's there. You have your clavicle that goes out. First main muscle to keep track of is going to be the muscle right here, the pectoralis major. Now, if you studied anatomy, and if you haven't, this is your time to learn. I'm going to teach it right now. Pectoralis major is coming out, what's it called? The origin of the pectoralis major is from the top side of the clavicle, and also the side of the gladiolus, the sternum. I think the gladiolus is like the bone that's down here. This is where it comes out. And then you see the muscles curl up and they actually attach to the arm. So when your arm is raised, your pectoralis muscles go up and they attach right here. So that's where you're seeing this part. And this is actually the first part of the pocket. So the armpits, if we're gonna focus, this is about the armpit. The armpit is a cavity. It's like an empty hollow, a pocket where there's nothing there, where the muscles are sort of surrounding around it. So that's what we're gonna try to create. So we have this part right here. It's attached to the humerus. We have our next muscle, and our next muscle is going to be the other side, which is this one right here. It's two muscles, but I'm just going to group it into one because we don't need to think about it as two. This next muscle is the latissimus dorsi, or dorsi, plus the teres major. Now we're going to look at different, examples, and then we'll talk about those muscles. You'll get familiar with them, so don't worry. But right now you just need to know is that it's kind of like a sandwich, like a hot dog bun. You have the front, which is the pectoralis major. I'll shade this in, teal. Pectoralis major coming up from right here. And then we have the latissimus dorsi that's coming out from the back side, like this. Now I'm exaggerating the size of it so that way it stands out more, but you have that, and it kind of just slides in. You'll see in the anatomy, it slides in like right here, right in the center of the cylinder. Boom, boom. The pectoralis major attaches near the top side of the cylinder, like the outside part of your arm, and then the latissimus dorsi connects inside, like where the armpit actually is. So like that. Let's shade it in. Latissimus dorsi. Plus teres major. If you want to be super specific, you have teres major like that. But who cares about that? Well, you don't care about that. The next muscle. We basically have everything. The next muscle is that we'll see not in this angle, but in another angle, is the deltoid, which is sitting on top. We'll talk about it when we get to that angle, but you just need to know that that exists. And then there's the one special muscle. This is all basic, right? If you're, intermediate level, you'll be like, oh my god, yeah, I already know, latissimus dorsi, I already know pectoralis, pterodactyl. But I'm gonna give you one more muscle, which is one of my favorite ones because you can see it, and when you can see it, it looks cool. And that muscle is the coracobrachialis. Now in here, coracobrachialis is this little guy right here, this sliver. But I think I mainly see it in women, sometimes men, maybe femboys, I don't know. I'm a heterosexual cisgender male, so maybe that's why I like the coracobrachialis. But this is basically my coracobrachialis. Is a little muscle right here. You'll see it sometimes. It can help you out, especially when you start adding in like the arm muscles, which I'm not gonna go into because this isn't about the arm muscles. You'll have like the bicep, you'll have the tricep, you'll have the brachialis muscle, and then you have the coracobrachialis muscle. All of that stuff ties in. But the coracobrachialis, it's just like an extra little triangle shape that can help you connect things if there's a gap somewhere. If you're sort of drawing it out like here and you're like, okay, I want to put the muscle here. Oh, there's a space here. Don't worry about that space. I would probably go boom, like that, and now you have coracobrachialis, like the armpit chicken. Okay, that was kind of like my front loading. Now let's go through it a few times. We're gonna go through it slow, and we can yap about it and just see how it's done. Because the best way to learn is just to watch, well, to know the information, but also just to watch someone walk through it multiple times. Let's start with the good old Ubel from Freeren. I'm gonna bring this down and we're just gonna trace. Don't even worry about, we're not even thinking about proportions right now, we're just tracing. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so that I can draw out a little bit more of her body, and we're gonna go through the whole process again. So don't, be like, Oh my gosh, I need to pause it and replay it or anything like that because I didn't get it the first time. I'm doing it a million times, so just, you know, watch. We have the ball of the rib cage. We have, let's find the perspective. It's from the top, so I want to make sure I keep that perspective. Keeping it like this, okay? Something like that. It's not perfect. I would probably maybe slide it over like this. We have the neck like that. Cool. We're sort of piecing together everything. It's also good to do these tracings because then you can try to see and where things go. So that way once you start doing your own drawings, you can put them in however you want. And you'll have a better proportional sense. So I'll put the ball of the shoulder here because I see the deltoid going around. And then I'll put the arm, the cylinder going out like this. Okay, so if we move this apart, side, we have this, right? And then we have the big head right here. Cool, let's move it back. And now let's start adding in the fancy stuff. We see some lines here. What are these lines? Well, if we look back at our anatomy, we can kind of see the same lines here. And I'm gonna explain them right now what they are. First line right here. What is this? Correct. That is the pectoralis major. We have the pectoralis major sliding up like this, attaching to the front arm. It goes like here, like this. For women, breasts are on top of the pectoralis major, like this. So we have the pectoralis major, that's one muscle. What about this line? What is that line? This line is the latissimus dorsi. Whoa, we got it all. Oh my god, we got both. We got the latissimus dorsi and we have the pectoralis major. Now we have this bump right here. What is this one? Well, if you studied anatomy, you would know that this bump right here, this is the deltoid, the back of the deltoid. And then if you wanted to add more detail, you could probably put bicep here, right? Tricep, I already put that in. And then you can have coracobrachialis somewhere in there, like that, something like that. Now, that's too much detail for anime. Maybe if you were like Kita-san Black in Pretty Derby Season 3 or something, but you would have like a lot more detail. But in most anime, you won't have people drawing out the coracobrachialis unless it's, unless the animators are freaky, which respect. Let's continue with our version. So let's put in, the way I'm gonna draw this is 3D form, always keeping in mind the construction and the 3D modeling aspect. You want to draw like a sculptor, right? You want to draw like a 3D modeler because that'll just help you be more intuitive in perspective and all of that. So let's put in the, oh man, my anatomy, I need to get better, like that. Pectoralis major, and then let's put in our latissimus dorsi right here. We could put in some contour lines like this. There's like a little line going out like that. And then we have the latissimus dorsi sliding in like this. I'll probably slide it out like that, considering the rib cage. Boom. Then here would be the deltoid going into the arm. We can just follow the contours of that. That'll kind of just be it. Unless you want to add in like, just a little bit of that deltoid muscle, which I think it's helpful when you're starting out. Or deltoid bicep and then triceps right here. Very, very subtle, not really showcasing anything because she's a thin woman. And then you can have a little bit of coracobrachialis or you can just leave it empty. I'm just gonna leave it empty because it's not indicated here. And so we have our breakdown right here. Let's color code, do our due diligence, right? We're studying, so we want to study effectively. Pectoralis major. And if you wanted to draw her breast would be right up here, like that. Draw it lower than you expect when you're starting out. A lot of people like to draw it very, very high up, like it's choking the person. You want to avoid that. But this is Miss Dorsey, color then yellow. Let's do color for the deltoid. And then for the rest of the arm, this video is not about the rest of the arm, so I'm just gonna keep it all together in one big blob. That's studying anatomy right there. By doing this, by studying this, what you're kind of able to now convey is knowing where the lines are, knowing how to simplify it, and knowing what's actually important. When you're studying anatomy from some books like this one, right? When you're looking at this whole thing, you're gonna be like, oh my god, there's so much stuff going on, all these letters, all these labels. I do think it's helpful to do this. I have done this many times. You know, you should pay your dues. You gotta do a little bit of this, you know, in order to accurately get to a little bit of this. But if you're able to do something like this, this is a great way to get it going. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. That doing studies like this is helpful. That's basically it. Okay, let's keep doing some tracings, and then we can do some freehand. So we have head, we have torso. I'm gonna start with torso because torso is one of the main, you know, structural forms of the body. So you wanna get that in so that you have an idea of perspective. Arm, cylinder, cool. You can maybe put head. It'll be like that. Boom. Right, something like this. Super simple, your basic shapes. I'm gonna erase them lightly. And now let's look over here. So I'm gonna actually hide this for a second. And we're gonna actually be able to see some of the anatomy. So right here, deltoid. Right here's part of the arm. This would be latissimus dorsi, probably. It's like the latissimus dorsi is like curling all the way over. Hold on, I need to make this. Yeah. Latissimus dorsi would be, where is it? I would probably put it like this. Now, I feel like some of this is just cyber, you know, material. This is from Cyberpunk 2077, so I'm gonna, you know, chalk it up to being Cyberpunk 2077. Pectoralis major goes here, and then curves out like this. Curves out like this, actually. This line here is basically just showing the cyberware connection. At least that's how I'm gonna interpret it. You know, it's art. You do it your way, I do it my way. That's how I'm gonna see it. This is pectoralis major. There's that, and you can put your serratus muscles in here, right? But I'm not gonna focus on that. The pectoralis major coming up, we have latissimus dorsi right here. We have deltoid, and then we have the tricep. And here we have a little bit of bicep, but because of this angle, we're seeing so much of the tricep. This is all kind of tricep right here. And then if you want to, you can add in a little bit of coracobrachialis, your favorite, your class favorite. But that's kind of the breakdown. Now that was so complex, right? That's so complex. Studio Trigger, what are you doing? Why are you so complex? I'm just gonna simplify it. This is gonna be my simple way. Let's do it this way. This is the arm. We have arm as a cylinder on the ball, on the rib cage, right? Cool. I'm gonna simplify it. This is the pose. I have my proportions right here. I'm not focusing on proportions right now. Deltoid, or pectoralis major. Wrap it around, wrap it around. Pectoralis major. Now I know that the latissimus dorsi, now I know it actually is like around here. That's how the game does it, but that's how the show does it. But I'm gonna put it a bit more here so that it matches what I've been learning. Latissimus dorsi goes here. I'm not gonna think about it more than that. Latissimus dorsi goes here, and it wraps around like this. Boom. That's all I need to know. A little bit of a bump for the deltoid, and then a little bit of a bump for the trapezius. Don't think too much about it. As long as it looks good. Like, here's the thing. The layman, the layperson, the Joe Schmo working, you know, the 9 to 5, going home, watching Cyberpunk 2077 on Netflix, drinking a beer, knocking out, whatever. That bro is not gonna know the lines of the anatomy. Probably, most likely. I don't know, right? So as long as it looks good, as long as it like this, it might be here, might be here. It might not be like this whole part right here. May not be anatomically correct. Who the fuck cares, bro? Like, as long as you have the main mass there and it looks chill, it's chill. Don't worry about it. I think the approach that I'm kind of going at this, like this specific way the way I'm speaking right now, is kind of like just speaking towards the person who's scared of anatomy and who's also super like anal about what it is they have to do. Just relax. Just draw. Just have fun. Like, boom. We have this. And then now we put in the bicep muscles, which I'm gonna put like right here. Why not? And then boom, boom. There we go. I just made it up. And there you go. That's the arm muscle. That's the armpit. And then we can put in a little bit of, put it like the, right? The, what's it called? Serratus anterior. And then we can put in like abs, whatever that is. So I think the moral of the story in this specific situation is to just not worry about it too much. As long as you have these main, like the main two sections in, your armpits are good. All right, here's another one. We're gonna look at more Cyberpunk 2077, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I'm gonna let's do like a half tracing. Let's do an analysis and then let's do a trace. So let's do it like this. First, we see the arms like this. This line here, this is cyberware. This is like aesthetic to the show. Don't worry about that. But it does kind of show you a little bit of contours, and I would actually look at the shadows. The shadows do follow the angles of the muscle. Because this shadow kind of goes across like this, I now know that whoever drew this, the animators, they had a format like that. They had a thing like this. They had a thing like that, right? So we can keep all of that information in mind. But we have a line here. What is this line? What is this line showing? This line is going to show the pectoralis major, same as before, but because the arm isn't raised up, it's not going to curve around like how it did in the last two examples or the last few examples. This arm is a bit down, so which means that the pectoralis major is going to be attaching to the forearm like that. So it's essentially going somewhere here. It attaches to the outside humerus, like right under that first, like if the humerus bone, like I'm trying to remember how it was the last time I said it, there's like a hinge right here, and it attaches like right here at the hinge, something like that. I'm like pulling back, a few years of memory, but that's kind of like the idea. But all you really need to know, like the practical knowledge of it, is that this is pectoralis major. Cool. Now let's do I'm gonna do a construction trace, just so I have proportions and I don't have to worry about it. In the future, in the next ones, I'll probably move on to just freehand it rather than tracing. Ball, and then cylinder. Cool. So we have this. Now let's add in the stuff. Let's put in neck, just so we have the right angle. Head can go somewhere here, and we're not focusing on that right now. I want to put in a little bit of an angle here, just so I see the perspective better in my head. In my mind's eye, I'm able to look at the perspective. There's a corner to the rib cage. I'm gonna add that in just to help me out. So now, and then we see breasts, right? So I'm gonna actually put those in just so that they help me match the pectoralis major. Just something like that, like a placeholder. Okay, pectoralis major. Let's try to find out where this line is. If we're gonna draw this on our own, right? You want to kind of take this. I'm gonna take this approach like I'm gonna do this drawing on my own. I'm doing a character design or something, and I want to put it in this pose. Well, we already know clavicle would probably be around here. It'll hide back like this, and then we'll put in pectoralis major. We'll drop down like this, cross over, and over like this. Boom. Pectoralis major. Now let's put in deltoid. Deltoid comes off like that, kind of bleeds into the pectoralis major, and then goes like that. The deltoid muscle, this muscle here, covers the pectoralis major. Pectoralis major hides inside, underneath. It tucks under. This is where the nuance of it comes in. Deepen your anatomy knowledge by knowing the layering of things, by knowing. Well, you first want to know what everything is called first and what it looks like. That's, I think, where it is. That's like level 1, right? First level is just where it is. Level 2 would be insertions and origins. Where does the muscle come out from? And then where does the muscle attach to? And then your last idea is the overlapping. What this muscle is going to tuck underneath this one and overlap with this one. This muscle is going to be going from under this and then over this one and then under it again. Something like that. So in this case, the pectoralis major tucks right under the deltoid. Now, does the show it? No. Right? So in this case, we can actually just get rid of it, right? We just simplify it. But for our purposes, we are going to keep it just so we see the breakdown of anatomy. I'll lightly erase a little bit of it, and then I'll kind of detail in the breast a little bit more. Okay, now let's focus on the second part, latissimus dorsi. So we did pectoralis major. Now we're on latissimus dorsi. We also did deltoid, but deltoid is not really part of the armpit, as in the purpose that I'm talking about it. The latissimus dorsi, you don't really see it, right? You don't see a thing here, but what you do see is this. We have a line right here. This is the contour of the latissimus dorsi. This is the outer edge. This is the line. So what we can see from our reference or our, just doing our blocking, we have the ball of the rib cage, we have the arm, and it's kind of a sharp end. The latissimus dorsi comes in right here. And if you studied the latissimus dorsi comes out from the back. So if I do a little bit of a back view right here, if this is the neck, and these are shoulder blades, your shoulder blades. Latissimus dorsi wraps around like this. This is big muscle that's like goes all the way down, right? This is your tailbone, right? Latissimus dorsi is this huge wrapping guy, like right here, right? Is two of them, like that, and then it connects to your arm. So that's latissimus dorsi. And so from the front view, or from this specific angle, we don't see a lot of it, but we do see where it connects, which is right here, and then it kind of just wraps back around. So proportionally, I kind of made it a bit too big, a bit too far. So I'm gonna slide it back in a little bit more, keep it tame. Don't, buff it up. She's not doing, she's not lat spreading 24/7. Latissimus dorsi wraps around like that. Cool. Boom. That's latissimus dorsi. Now, in this version, it's so simplified, you don't even see it, right? The only thing you kind of know is just this outline right there. But in our case, we can have it in because we're studying armpits. And then we have the forearm like that. Let's knock it all back a little bit just so that I can do a cleaner run over. You're kind of creating this cavity right here. So this is where this cavity idea comes in. Let's use blue for the outline. This line goes like this for the contour. There's a thickness to this, right? Do your contour lines to help it out. So we have this 3D, and then we have the rib cage shape. So here is very, very inside. Here you're gonna have a little bit of a bump. It'll be like that. And here is gonna be like a cavity, right? It goes in, it goes in, it goes in. So that's the armpit. Now let's give some color coding so that we have frame of reference. Boom, pectoralis major, breast. I'm also going to bring in the rib cage right here. Trying to do some neater drawings this time. Deltoid. Let's put in the green, latissimus dorsi. That's the armpit. Now, let's do another batch. Let's do the backside. This is a backside. This frame is from Star Wars Outlaws. I forgot what studio did this one, but I'm gonna erase this just so I can focus more on the arm. And this time I'm just gonna go right in and talk about it without doing any tracings. So first we see the angle of the shoulders, and this is where like a lot of the follow along, watch closely kind of thing. Even though I'm no crazy good like TV Choi or anything like that, it's still good to see like the drawing process of someone, especially if you're trying to learn about something. So boom, something like this, right? Here's the neck. Okay, now let's talk about anatomy. Backside, we have scapula anatomy. This is the scapula muscle. Scapulas can go kind of crazy, right? They like if the arm is raised, the scapula will be like all the way up here. They slide around, they're not really like fully attached. The scapula, like that. I'm not gonna focus on this side because too lazy. We have deltoid, so this is a acromion process goes right here, which is the very, very tip of the clavicle. And what you're gonna do is you're going to put the deltoid like so. It also wraps around. The deltoid can be seen from just about every angle on the arm. And then you have this line right here. What is that line? This line is latissimus dorsi. Because like remember I said latissimus dorsi wraps around the body like this, like a cape, and then attaches down. So here's latissimus dorsi, here's the arm with latissimus dorsi plus the teres major. This is gonna be tidbit for the intermediate people. Infraspinatus, teres minor, teres major. Teres major goes under. Infraspinatus and teres minor goes over and under the deltoid, like that. And so what you see this line over here, this line to me reads as latissimus dorsi plus armpit line because it's plus style. Because if you were to put something like anatomy-wise on this, it would be like, it'll be like this. It'll be like cut down like that. But the way they styled it, they're gonna style it by just having latissimus dorsi coming out this way. You see a little bit of the front of the breast, and then I think that's about it. So just keep that part in mind, and then you can style it like this. This is trapezius muscle that I just drew. So now let's knock it back and let's make it a little cleaner. Neck, center line, gesture of the back, trapezius muscle, shoulder blade, deltoid connects up here. You have latissimus dorsi sliding up in your DMs. You have the arm kind of coming out over it. And you have like infraspinatus and teres major and whatever. Like all of that fun stuff in here, which you won't see, especially in anime style where it's like simplified. So you'll see something like this. Rest of the rib cage goes here, and then a little bit of booba goes there. And then you can have a little bit of the other side if you want to. Here I like simplifying it like that just to show like the crease of the arm pit if the arm is being sort of like brought into the body like that. Now let's color code. Essentially anatomy study looks like this. Like when you're doing anatomy, and especially once you've kind of picked up the names of it, you're kind of just doing drawings of from reference, trying to make, you know, heads and tails make sense of everything, and then put it all together and then color code it just so it looks nice like that. Okay, I'm gonna see what other poses I have. Here's another back view. Arcane is good because they showcase all the forms. Okay, some of these are pretty good, so I kind of want to talk about them, but I'm gonna do it fast. And then we go back to U-Bell, which there are some U-Bell ones that I want to go to. Man, armpits are so fun to draw, man. This is literally like peak armpit anatomy study right here. You have ball, rib cage. You have the sphere of the shoulder. You have this pectoralis major is going to wrap up like here. Pectoralis major, boom. Deltoid is going to wrap out like so. That, and then look at, so there, here it is. Arm, pectoralis major, deltoid, like that. So that's all of those lines we figured out. Now we have this line right here. That's the latissimus dorsi. So we're gonna put that in. I'm going to grab the mass of it and then bring it down like that. A lot of the times your ribcage ball serves as the inside line of the latissimus dorsi. I'm getting tired of talking. I'm talking too much. Now let's hide it, and then I'm gonna make it clean. So there's the cleaned up version. I'm going to do your contour line so that you can see the 3D-ness of everything. I can shade this in if I want to. I'm gonna make it look nicer. Okay, boom. Now let's do some color coding on this bad boy. Let me lighten this a little bit more. I'm gonna put this on multiply. I wanna make this look nice. Let's use a harder brush. Okay, something like this. I'm gonna lighten it more and darken this. Okay, something like that. So now let's look at this one. Let's see. So here for this example, let's talk about the super simplification. We have detail in this version. So let's simplify it. If you wanted to say you want to do super, like you want to do anime style, and you don't want, you know, a lot of detail into it, how do you do it? So I'm gonna first do a little bit of the gesture. His body is a little bit turned like this. Shoulder, arm, have the same way of like, you know, drawing it, so that way you always have the same process. You always have like a routine and things get comfortable. So let's say we want to go super simplified with this. It's just not adding in a lot of detail. This line goes over, you know, latissimus dorsi is right under, so we'll do this. Boom, boom, boom. We won't add a lot of detail, but we know that the deltoid goes right over, or the, what's it called? Pectoralis major goes over like this. Boom. And then you can have like deltoid like that. So, or pectoralis major will just connect with the deltoid as its own muscle. So this would be the very, very simplified So now that you know all the anatomy, when you see something like this, you can easily piece everything together because you have good construction, you have the good cylinders and the balls, and then you have the anatomy knowledge to back it up. And you can confidently just design and simplify how you want things to go. Style is how you simplify. A person's style is different because of how they choose to design and simplify. Wanted this one's the same thing. This one, oh my gosh, this one actually has the coracobrachialis in here a little bit. So let's talk about it. We have rib cage. Damn, this rib cage is huge. Rib cage, we have ball, we have cylinder, we have clavicle coming up, a little bit of trapezius. Okay, so we have something like this. Let's put in the fancy stuff. I'm gonna make her even more transparent so we can see. Right here, same as before, putting in the pectoralis major. Right here, putting in the latissimus dorsi, which is like right here. Right, this is where that line is. The latissimus dorsi comes out like that. But this line right here, if I were to erase it, this line is also capturing the coracobrachialis, the best muscle, coracobrachialis, somewhere in there. Here we have the deltoid wrapping up around like this. We have the bicep wrapping it down like this. We have tricep poking out like this, and then we also have the brachioradialis, or the brachialis muscle right here, which is sandwiched between the triceps and the biceps. Boom, boom, do your cross section like that. And then if I can improve make this more opaque, I can find her breast a little bit better. I'll put breast out like so, leaving room for the actual, wishbone breastplate. Here's the other breast like that. Okay, here, let's bring it back down and let's clean this up. So we lighten everything. Here I'm going to keep it a bit more simplified than what I've done before. Latissimus dorsi, or pectoralis major, going into seeing how I want to simplify it. I'm just going to keep it like that. Just keep it all one piece. If you can't figure it out, I'll keep it one piece. I might need some reference for it to help me out because I kind of forgot, but it's okay because that's what reference is for. Boom, 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 boom. Have a little bit of a cross section like that. Bam, boom, bam, bop, bada bop, bam, pow. I'll do a little bit of contour lines in here just so that things look clean. Always do these contour lines, even if you don't draw them out, see them in your head. Be able to just, keep track of them. Don't just lose sight of the contour lines. Don't forget about them. Keep them in your head at all times, like that. And then I can value them in. Boom, boom. I'm just gonna put it all as one big simplified chunk. Cause I can, cause I'm the guy who's drawing it. Muscle on right inside, great anatomy. So yeah, this is armpits. Hopefully something was educational. You want to simplify and you want to keep track of how you can group and how you can design everything. In animation, the lines need to convey a lot more information because there's so few lines and there's so few detail, which means that your idea of anatomy, your knowledge of anatomy needs to be pretty strong because you need to know how to simplify it. And you can't simplify what you don't know. You can only simplify and, completely manipulate it freely if you have a strong understanding of it. The contour lines, the topography, know like how it would look like in 3D, and just do a lot of studies like what I just did.